What's good YouTube? Today I'm showing you guys the best settings to rock here in Black Ops 6 after the season 1 update. These are the settings that I use in this game that make me the player that I am, and overall give you the visual effects that I actually use in this game, and just showing you guys my personal preference when it comes to each setting in this game. Before we do hop into this video, I want you guys to comment down below if you guys are enjoying season 1 so far. Don't forget to drop a like on the video, subscribe if you are new to the channel. Let's hop right into these settings. So for the graphics tab side of things, for the display, you want to put the display mode on full screen exclusive. This is the best one you can use just to get the most amount of frames on your PC. We have for our display monitor, basically whatever monitor you have plugged into your computer is the name that it will show up right here. Display adapter is basically just your graphics card that you have plugged into your PC. I do have a 3090 Ti in my computer. The screen refresh rate, or better known as the hertz, is basically the hertz of your monitor. I do have a 240 hertz monitor. But the display resolution is basically the resolution, once again, of your monitor. So I do have a 1440 monitor. So that's why these two settings right here are basically, I have a 1440 240 hertz monitor, which this is the best monitor that you can play Call of Duty on, my personal opinion. 1440 is definitely one of the better things. Once you go from 1080 to 1440, you will literally never go back to 1080 ever again. So I definitely suggest buying it, even though it is a pretty hefty price when it comes to those monitors. For that resolution, it's definitely worth the price. For the aspect ratio, you want to put that to literally automatic. That's pretty much default. For the restart shader preloadings, that's just pretty much set to the default setting that is basically here. I really didn't touch any of these settings whatsoever. This isn't even really something you can change. For the display gamma, we have it set to 2.2 sRGB. For the gamma brightness, I defaulted that to 50 because that's basically what the game is. Whenever you load the game up, that's basically what it is defaulted to. So you can change this to whatever you want it to be, but I think 50 is best for me. For the NVIDIA Reflex low latency, we have that set to on. For the echo mode, this is just set to custom. I didn't touch echo, to be honest. Echo has been in the game for the last few years, and I really don't even know what it does till this day. So I just keep it to whatever they have it whenever they add it to the game. For the VSync menu and for the VSync gameplay, both of those are set to off. For the custom frame rate, you have this gameplay set to max, which is basically 300, so I can get the most amount of frames in the game. For the menu custom frame rate, we set that to 60. Just so whenever I'm just sitting in the menu, my PC isn't just working overtime and, you know, trying to get me the most amount of frames for no reason whenever I'm just in the menu. The out of focus custom frame rate, that's also set to 30. I didn't touch that whatsoever. For reduced menu resolution, that is also set to optimal. I don't know, this is basically just whatever they added into the game. I just kept it literally just defaulted, which is basically defaulted to optimal. For the pause game rendering, that's set to off. Reduced quality whenever inactive, 10 minutes, so that's the new setting this year. Focus mode, that's set to 90, that's default. The HDR, we did set that off as well, because I'm pretty sure if you do have HDR on, whenever you're playing just like multiplayer, it does make your PC run insanely slow. So I just suggest having that off unless you're playing like campaign or something like that. Now for the quality side of things, for the global quality for the graphic preset, that is set to custom, just for the simple fact that I did change a lot of these settings as well, and it literally just is defaulted to custom as well. For the render resolution, depending on what your monitor resolution is, this would be completely different. As long as you set this to 100, you're literally perfectly fine. So if you have a 1080 monitor, it will show 1080. Obviously, I have a 1440 monitor, so whenever I do set it to 100, it does show 1440. For the dynamic resolution, that is going to be set to off. For the upscaling / sharpening, the best one to rock for all these settings right here every year is going to be Philadelphia FX Cast. This is the best one you can rock. It makes the game look absolutely just beautiful and perfect. And once you set that to that setting, you want to hit square, then you want to put that strength up to 100, so it just makes the game look absolutely perfect. For the VRAM scale target rate, that is set to 80, that's pretty much default. Same thing for the variable rate setting, that's set to on. Now for the details and texture resolutions, for some odd reason, I'm pretty sure everything did reset whenever season 1 came out. I didn't realize a lot of these were set crazy high, but it's obviously Call of Duty. You don't have to have everything extremely cranked up, so this is one of the best things that you can rock. For the text resolution, you set that to low. For the texture filter, you want to set that to normal as well, or you can set it to pretty much low just to get more frames. Depth of field, make sure you turn that off so it's not blurry when it comes to certain ranges. Detail quality, that is set to low. Particle resolution is also set to low as well. Now for the bullet impacts and the persistent effects, you can turn these on if you want, just to give, I guess, the game more of like a real life kind of effect. I personally just set those off because I really didn't care to really have them on. If I be completely honest with you, those aren't really too important settings that like dictate how I play the game, so I just completely turn them off. Shader quality, we did set that to low. For the on-stream domain texture, that's set to optimize, which is basically a defaulted thing as well. It pretty much downloads stuff in the back, but it doesn't hurt the game's quality or the game's speed, so it's definitely one of the best settings. Honestly, optimized is the best way to put it. Just makes the game look a lot prettier. Now for the low texture streaming quality, that is also set to normal. I didn't touch this whatsoever. For the shadow quality, we just set that to low. screen space shadows, that's also set to low as well. For the collision screen space lighting, that's also low. That's pretty much defaulted. I didn't touch this whatsoever, so I just kept it at low. For the screen space reflection, that's set to normal. Static reflection quality is also set to low as well. Now for the environment side of things, tessellation is going to be set to near, as it always is. The volumetric quality, that is set to low because you don't have to have the weather look insanely good. Deferred physics also set to low as well. The weather grid is going to be set to low, and water quality is just set to all. This whole thing right here is just based on like the environment and just like how you want the weather to look in the game. Obviously you don't have to have the weather crank insanely high. Like a lot of these things you can crank high whenever you're playing like campaign, because that's campaign. But when it comes to multiplayer, you just want to put everything in the low just so you can have the most amount of frames in the game. Now for the view tab side of things right here, there's also like a pretty much a defaulted kind of thing right here where it's called motion reduction preset, which is just basically gives you the least amount of blur and just least amount of just like, I guess, like motion sickness in the game. But I really don't care about it. That has nothing to do with me. Like, unless you get motion sick a lot easier, then that's obviously something that you can test out for yourself. But for me personally, I did change my FOV to 120. I use 120 every single year. For the aim down sight field of view, going to be set to effective, so it makes the gun zoom out a lot more. It also comes with visual recoil bonuses as well. For the weapon field of view, we did set that to wide, so the weapon looks a lot smaller. Third person field of view, I didn't really touch this. I kept that at 90. Now for the weapon and world motion blur, make sure you set these two off, because if you have any one of these things on, no matter what you do in the game in terms of moving, it will look blurry. And of course, if you have both of them on, the game which looks absolutely blurry, it's just nasty overall. So definitely turn both these settings off as well. For the first person movement, camera movement, and for the third person camera movement, set that to the least amount of possible, just so like whenever you get hit with grenades and stuff like that, your screen doesn't simply just, you know, shake like there's like a maximum earthquake hitting the game. So set that to the least side of things, and your screen won't shake as much. For the third person aim down sight transition, I just set that to the third person ADS defaulted side of things. And for the inverted flashbang, we did set that to on as well, because I don't want to be blind by the time I am 30. So I like my eyes. I want to keep my eyes nice and young for as long as possible. So we did set that to on as well for the inverted flashbang. Now for the audio tab side of things right here, I'm going to go through this audio tab thing pretty quick, just for the simple fact that whatever you have plugged into your PC is basically what's going to be defaulted on your computer. So defaulted to what's on the game. So we all have different settings in terms of a lot of these stuff plugged into our computers, but I'm just going to go through this. My max volume is going to be set to 66 because I don't want to be deaf in this game. For some obvious, the game is so loud this year. I don't know what it is, but I guess it is what it is. For the audios, these are all, like I said, all these are pretty much the default. Speaker output right here is going to be set to just stereo. Like I said, a lot of these are just simply just defaulted, so whatever you have plugged into your computer, and just whatever you want to have off and on. The only thing I did change with my hit marker preset, I just set that to classic. It basically, classic this year is the hit marker sounds from Black Ops 4. So I was like, sure, why not? Let me just use the Black Ops 4 sound effect this year. It actually is very satisfying to use. For the voice chat side of things, also once again, pretty much default to however you want voice chat to either just sound, and just basically whatever you have put into your computer in terms of the mic input, and just like whatever your hotfix button that you actually want it to be. Also, same thing for the telemetry tab when it comes to the global side of things. A lot of these things, once again, are just personal preference. I'm just going to scroll through these things and just show you guys what I have. When it comes to telemetry right here, one thing I did use when it comes to this whole thing right here, telemetry is basically whatever you want to have on the top left of your screen, and it's all I use is FPS counters just so I can know my frames, server latency just to see if I'm actually lagging in that server, just see like my ping, and pack loss just to once again see if I actually am lagging in that lobby. That's pretty much all you really need when it comes to this telemetry. You can have all this other stuff right here, but it will literally just go across your screen. And with the season 1 update, they actually made it a lot smaller. It's a lot more cooler, and just it's more neat in the top left corner. So honestly, you're going to put all them on, you definitely can. For the telemetry side or the interface readable tab, these are just basically all just subtitles, which I don't really use obviously, but I did change my colors this year. Only thing I did change was my enemies. I just changed them to pink, and I changed myself to white, because honestly I think the pink and white duo is just absolutely one of the most insane beautiful things when it just comes to color combinations. I don't have any color filters on. I'm not colorblind whatsoever. If people ever just ask, they do ask, they see like my colors are changed, so I just changed them in here. You can do this literally every year now. This is just like a popular thing, to be completely honest with you. All they was changing my things to white and pink. For the gameplay hub side of things, hub preset is basically, I had it set to standard, which I might change it over to mission interface, just for the simple fact that it has the score on the top of the screen, so I can actually see that a lot better. So looking to always to the left when it comes to just trying to see what the score is in the game. I think the mission interface is one of the best ones you actually can use in this game. You have visuals just for this whole tab right here. What you want to really do is change the mini map to square, because square gives you a lot more information every year. It does it, and you definitely kind of need it in this game as well, just for the simple fact that the mini map this year pretty much sucks. It's very tiny for some odd reasons, so you definitely want to put it to square so you can get the most out of the advantage as well. The compass, you can have it horizontal. I just kept mine defaulted. It's basically on the top middle of my screen. Mini map rotation, make sure you set that to on. That's also just defaulted. Radar, I had that off, also once again defaulted. Scales set to 100. A lot of these are just set to 100 just based off like the size and how big you want them to actually be. So I suggest just keeping every last one of these things set to 100, which is basically the default settings. Colors, we just went through the colors right there, so we can just go back. The hub bounds is basically how close and zoomed in you actually want everything to be. I kept mine pretty much defaulted to how like the game loaded up. I didn't touch this whatsoever. And then we went through all these settings right here once again. One thing I did change on here as well was my crosshair. I changed that recently the other day. I got rid of the big ass crosshair that's just like, but in terms of all the lines, I just use the center dot now. I just set the center dot to the largest setting as well, because I think that's the better way to do it. And when it comes to the whole crosshair spread, basically it's whenever you hip fire, the crosshair would get bigger. I kind of eliminated that because I feel like that always messed me up and like kind of reduced my personal confidence when it comes to hip firing. So I just turned it off just so my crosshair can always just be straight no matter what. Now for the controller side of things, obviously I do play on the controller. I do have a Scuff Impact PS4 controller. I do have two paddles in the back. My left paddle is for melee, my right paddle is for jumping. That's pretty much all I have when it comes to this whole control thing. Also, my R1 and L1 and R2 and L2 are basically click triggers, which basically they are like mouse clicks. That's pretty much all I have on this controller in terms of the customization. So for the button layout, I'm gonna put that to tactical flip. Tactical basically just allows you to slide with R3 and melee with circle, and once you turn on the flip option, it allows you to shoot with R1 and L1, which is definitely the better one in my personal opinion. It's a lot more instant to shoot with R1 and L1 than R2 and L2, just because of the buttons are like a lot smaller, and just the time it takes to actually activate each button is a lot quicker with R1 and L1. So that's definitely the best way to do it, especially if you don't have a Scuff. You can do this right here and overall just honestly have the upper advantage when it comes to your opponents. Stick layout is going to be set to default. That's pretty much as just normal. My horizontal and for my vertical recoil, those are both set to 7.7. My simplified controller preset, that's set to off. I don't even know what the heck that is. Same thing for the low motor strain preset, also set to off. Bumper pings also set to off as well. The swap, like I was talking about before, with R1 and L1, set that to on. Control vibration, we do have that off. We are K when it comes to the control vibration gain. That's just a weird thing in my personal opinion, but it is what it is. Dead zones are set to 3 for both right stick and left stick. You can also just test it out if you really need more. Clearly I need more, but I'm not going to go up too high, just so, because the higher you go, the slower your controller will be. So I wouldn't recommend going past 10. And then once you kind of feel like you have to go past 10, at that point get a new controller. Now for the aiming tab side of things right here, the only thing I did touch when it comes to these multipliers, which is like the first thing I ever touched in years, I changed my ADS sensitivity multiplier and I changed the ADS sense multiplier focus. Both of those are set to 85, just so whenever I'm on site, it doesn't feel like I'm like just not able to move. I feel like it was too fast this shit, in my personal opinion. So I lowered it down to 85, and it definitely does help me a lot. Look, invert on foot, that's set to standard. Aiming advanced settings, we didn't touch any of these whatsoever. These are all pretty much standard. My aim response curve type this year is going to be set to standard. I might go back to dynamic at some god-given point, but I heard dynamic did get nerfed, so I'm gonna stick with standard, because standard is basically just one of the best things. And honestly, it's the default setting from casual, so I might just stick with standard throughout the entire year. I really don't know yet. But we have for the custom sensitivity per zoom, I have that set to off. I don't use half these sites anyway, so I really don't need to touch any of those things whatsoever. Target aim assist, of course, that's off. Monitor sensor behavior is off. Monitor sensor advanced settings, I didn't touch any of these either, but I'll just scroll through them just in case you guys are just curious on what I actually had on these settings here. For the movement side of things, once again, all I have changed on here is going to be sprint assist, which is basically tactical sprint, or auto attack sprint. We'll press square on that. You want to put the sprint to delay to actually 0, because it actually does make the attack sprint a lot more instant. Mental assist, that sets it off. Same thing for the crouch assist as well. Corner slice is basically like the whole just like angling your gun and just moving it around as you move. I hate the way that looks, to be honest. I'm not playing Rainbow Six, so I really don't want that to be on my gun, so I just turned it off. It doesn't affect your aim, as you clearly can see. It says it doesn't affect your aim, but for me personally, I kind of feel like it does, just because it changed like just the whole aesthetic and the whole look of the game, and it really just throws me off personally. For the movement and slide behaviors, we had that set to tap to slide, because I do dolphin dive a lot in this game, to be completely honest with you. And a lot of these settings right here, once again, are just pretty much default. I didn't touch any of these settings at all. Same thing for the movement settings right here. These are pretty much just regular and standard. And some of these might be just some different for you guys, just for the simple fact that Warzone is out. So I'm gonna go through the combat tab right here too as well. I didn't touch any of these at all. These are all pretty much default settings as well. Overlay advanced settings, once again, pretty much all just default. I didn't touch anything when it comes to that tab. So this is my settings here in Black Ops 6 Season 1. If you did enjoy, don't forget to drop a like and subscribe to the channel. Want you guys to comment down below what's your sensitivity here in Black Ops 6. I'll see you guys in the next one.